All right, let's jump straight in because today, April 21st, 2026, this is it. This is the day we've all had circled on our calendars. And honestly, the stakes just couldn't be any higher. Yeah, the fuse is lit. After what felt like a brief moment of cautious optimism, that deadline is here. Time has officially run out. And just this morning, literally hours ago, around 7 a.m. Washington time, the whole situation it took a nosedive. Any hope we had for a last-minute deal completely fell apart. So that's the stark reality we're all facing right now. I mean, the fate of the entire global economy. Not to mention the risk of a much, much wider war. It all comes down to what happens in these next few hours. So you're probably asking, how on earth did we end up on this knife's edge? Well, the last 24 hours have been a total roller coaster of hope and, frankly, disappointment. Let's quickly walk through the timeline to see what happened. I mean, just look at this progression. It's wild. Just yesterday, we got reports that Iran had privately agreed to talks, and boom, the market surged. Everyone was optimistic. But then, this morning, the stalling started. And because of that, U.S. envoy J.D. Vance's trip to Pakistan, which was the crucial next step, it got postponed. And that brings us right here to this hard deadline tonight. You know, what's really interesting here is that for anyone who's been following this, it's not a total surprise. This is a pattern. It's a strategy we've seen from Iran again and again. They say yes behind closed doors to kind of take the pressure off, but then they drag their feet in public or throw in new demands to get more leverage. It's a playbook, right? They test boundaries, they try to squeeze out more concessions. And this time, that calculated strategy has pushed us right to the absolute brink. So what's the actual roadblock here? What's preventing a deal? Well, the core issues they're massive. We're talking about a grand canyon between what each side wants. And this slide really shows you that canyon perfectly. Let's spend a second here. Okay, on one side, you've got Iran's list of demands, and they're not budging. They say nuclear enrichment is their sovereign right. That's the process for making fuel for power plants, or, for weapons. Then they want a total lifting of all sanctions, over $100 billion in frozen assets released, and control over the Strait of Hormuz, which is a massive choke point for global oil. Oh, and they've tied this whole thing to the conflict in Lebanon, too. Now, on the other side, America's red line is simple and it's unmovable. Iran has to permanently promise, forever, to never build a nuclear weapon. I mean, these positions aren't just far apart, they're in completely different universes. Okay, so let's bring this home. Why does any of this matter to you, wherever you happen to be watching from? Because the economic fallout, it's already happening. And believe me, it could get a lot worse. If you're in the US, you've definitely felt this at the pump. Gas prices are already up 48 cents a gallon since this whole thing started. And if the fighting starts again tonight, that number's going to jump, and probably by a lot. And it's not just the US. Over in the United Kingdom, energy prices are already hovering near record highs. Every single day this goes on, it's more pain for household budgets. You can bet the Bank of England is watching this deadline with some serious concern. For our friends in Canada, things are looking pretty precarious too. Goldman Sachs has already bumped up the odds of a recession to 25%. If this deal collapses today, that's going to have a direct impact on mortgages, on jobs, on family budgets all across the country. And this really is a global problem. Take Australia. They import most of their refined fuel. A return to war could send petrol prices to levels they have literally never seen before. And over in Germany, their gas stockpiles are critically low. If this ceasefire falls apart, we could be looking at a huge energy crisis across the entire Eurozone this summer. Okay, so that's the lay of the land. The big question now is, how does this all end? The way we see it, there are really three ways this could go down in the next few hours. So let's break them down. First up, you've got the best-case scenario, a last-minute deal. Iran stops the games, Vance gets on a plane to Pakistan, talks begin, and the ceasefire gets extended. Phew. Then there's scenario 2, which is basically kicking the can down the road. The ceasefire gets extended, maybe Trump reluctantly agrees, but none of the big problems are solved, so everyone stays nervous. And then there's scenario 3. The worst case. The ceasefire expires, Washington orders strikes, Iran retaliates, and we risk tipping the entire world into a global recession. But there is one last really crucial detail here. Remember how we said Vance's trip was postponed? Well, it was postponed, not canceled. Now that might seem like a small thing, but it's a huge clue. It suggests the White House still thinks a deal, or at least an extension, is still on the table. It's a tiny sliver of hope that there's still a diplomatic way out of this. So that's where we are. Everything, and I mean everything, comes down to what happens in these next few hours. The choice is pretty simple. Does this war pause, or does it explode? And that really is the ultimate question as the clock keeps ticking, isn't it? Ceasefire or war? We're about to find out.